good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's a hot morning. Get up. Good morning.
People are up. People are up.
Well, here's the thing. Someone pointed out that they did not get a good morning last time. Mm-hmm. They said this is unacceptable. We always need good mornings whenever the Do Over podcast crew does anything. A la taps and takes every single Friday at 8 a.m. from Grog's Traditional Irish Pub.
Look at this. Look at all this. Look at this. All this traditional Irish stuff.
Look at all this. Traditional Irish Pub, where we talk about all that nerd news, all that sports news. We do every single Friday morning at 8 a.m. just for you. Shout out, Grogs.
Shout out, Grog. Shout out, Royce.
Yeah,
King
shout
Royce.
out, Royce. And also, go back and watch a Drewless episode of the Do Over podcast where Jess herself hosted.
And a darn good job she did.
You know what? Round of applause for her. All right. She really rose to the occasion. I was very proud of her.
I was too.
Yeah.
I was too. Yeah.
Were you proud of her, Elliott?
I was very proud of her. I was very proud of little Lauren. It was really good catching up with her. It was good times. You can check that on Twitch. You can also check it on our YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. That's going to be coming out. Well, it'll be out by the time you watch this.
Well,
so
yeah, you could go back and watch it right now.
Yeah, so support it.
Oh,
no worries.
Yeah.
I think he's in the back.
I'm like, would you like to come and join our podcast?
That's good.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah. We'll get you a link, dog.
I'll send you some links.
I'll send you some links. Why does it sound like dirtier than it should?
It's from.
I'll send you some links.
Did you ever see Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates?
Yeah.
He's like, what's a push pop? I made it up. What's a push pop? I promise you, I've searched the bowels of the internet. There's nothing. What's a push pop? It's two hands. I'll push it to pop. I'll send you some links.
Dude, I watched that movie like twice, but then I haven't seen it in like a long, long time. Dude.
I saw it.
It's criminally underrated. It's
underrated.
It's hella funny, dude.
That movie's great cast, a funny cast, and you're right. Nobody talks about it. I saw it in theaters.
Everyone talks about like Forgetting Sarah Marshall,
a classic,
which is great.
It deserves to be up there.
Get Him to the Greek, which is kind of like a spiritual sequel.
I like I Love You Man more.
I Love You Man. That's a good one. Step Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Like when people are talking like modern comedies, like they talk about those. They don't bring up
Mike and Dave.
Yeah, like they do.
Well, it was kind of.
I wonder if it's because it was in the transition for fucking Pretty Boy. You know, Zach.
Well, I also think it was a few years after. It was good, like 6-7 years after those movies kind of popped.
Yeah.
And so it was. I think it was one of the last few good comedies before we kind of went into this comedy less lull that we're kind of in right now.
Wait, everything has to be serious or dark. You know what I mean?
Well, that or just like people just haven't quite cracked comedy lately.
What do you mean?
Just stand-ups at an all-time high right now.
Yeah.
You know, like from Kill Tony podcast to a lot of comedians having their own or their stand-up specials. That's all good and dandy. But comedy movies, I feel like just haven't quite found their footing in the new age.
I think you find comedies that find an audience, and then that is what defines a certain period of time. For example, when Adam Sandler hit it big, you saw a lot of comedy movies that were like the Happy Gilmores, the Billy Madisons,
right.
Then you had 40-Year-Old Virgin, and then you have like a lot of comedies that have that
super bads. That
have that feel to them. You know, it defines like a time. You're right. There hasn't been like a modern comedy that has hit so good.
You know why?
Why?
Because I just thought of this.
People don't like to laugh. They like to bitch.
No, not even that. We're missing the next comedy group. Think about it. Adam Sandler and his friends been doing comedy for like 30, 40 years, right?
Yeah.
And then it was Seth Rogen and his buddies doing comedies for a good group for a good while of time. We need that next like comedy group to appear.
No, you're right. And you know what? I would love to see. Have you ever watched Shane Gillis's like their skits?
Yeah.
That group of people are funny.
I mean, Tires was funny. I didn't think it was like super laugh out loud hilarious.
Didn't watch Tires. Not yet.
Tires was funny.
It got renewed, didn't it?
I'm sure it did.
I think
anything
did. Yeah.
Shane Gillis touches right now is going to get renewed.
Right.
So, I mean, like, that could work. Shane Gillis is just a funny dude. But I feel like you need like, I don't know. I feel like you need like an actor first. I feel like Shane Gillis is a comedian first.
Shane Gillis is actually, in my opinion, when it comes to like sketch acting, He's actually really good.
Mhm.
Like you can be a comedian but not a strong actor. You can be a strong actor that's funny but not a great comedian.
Yeah.
I think Shane is that kind of Goldilocks zone of both. He
Mhm.
just hasn't had that project to really throw him into the mainstream.
Yeah.
But those people that are in, I think one of those guys is like his writing partner, like the straight nerdy dude that's in that.
Right.
He is, I think, one of his main writing partners for
Yeah.
all of their skits.
I think they're homies for sure.
Yeah. So that whole group are the people that did all the skits. You should go watch. He does a parody of like a Guy Fieri like.
Oh, I've seen it.
Have you
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
that? When he starts having
Mhm.
flashbacks
It's
and
like,
shit.
I've got PTSD, but not when it comes to flavor. Boom. It's
Yeah.
just like kind of staring off. Yeah, I've seen it. It's fun. He's hilarious. It's just, can you get the sketch comedy to meet a movie time?
That is a good question. Or can you get a project that's so well done
Mm-hmm.
that, or at least so well written that it gives you just gold to work with?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a good observation that like, where's the next big
Group.
of funny people that can start making a new modern era of comedy, right? And we are kind of missing that.
We
That's
just haven't.
interesting.
we
I
just
haven't heard about
yeah,
that.
we just haven't had it yet. And I mean, like, I think maybe some people thought like Zac Efron might be in that. There was like Zac Efron, Miles Teller,
Mhm.
Michael B. Jordan. They did a few movies
Yeah,
together.
but those are like serious actors, dude.
I know,
you know.
which is why like they had a chance to, but I think they got too mature. Like they picked up too good of movies, you know?
Or maybe they're just such good actors
Yeah, they just couldn't.
that they can't lower their bars. Like
Well,
they're
I
just too good.
well, they're funny guys. They're all
Mhm.
funny guys. They just they
yeah,
didn't-
they
and
did
then
that
there's-
one comedy together. Like
Yeah.
all three of them.
Mhm. And it was a good movie.
Yeah.
And then there was the Workaholics guys, which they could have been it, but their movies just got too goober. And then they also just started doing their own things.
I think they weren't consistent enough. Like they had a couple of seasons of Workaholics,
which were great.
and then they like teased some other projects. But
they
then
did a Netflix movie together, which was fine. It was
Yeah,
fun.
it was-
But I mean, like, I think they just kind of branched out to do their own thing
Mhm.
too.
yeah,
But I mean, yeah, we need the next comedy group.
yeah. So where are you?
Where are you?
Let us produce your comedy and then exploit you for all of your talent and take like 30% of what you make.
Yeah.
60.
We'll meet at 30.
Yeah.
We'll meet at 30.
So anyways, Elliot,
Yes.
it's time for the nerd news.
Yeah,
And
the entertainment stuff.
Also, before we get started, Patreon members, I messaged 30 of them last night of
How
day
many do
recording.
we have now?
We have 68 members.
Ooh, we should give lucky number 69 like a special treat.
Light says 69 on it.
We should, you know what we should do? We should
What?
give them one shirt that's printed right and then one shirt that's printed upside down.
And then their significant other words.
Exactly. Yeah. See, now we're cooking, baby.
Yeah. So I messaged 30 people yesterday for shirts because we got them. We're just going to give them away. And I got everyone's like, what do they want? Like what logo they want. So
Mhm.
they got to choose on that. A lot of people wanted Jess's logo.
The eyes look great.
Yeah.
The eyes look great.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. And like glasses, maybe we need to find a new style for ours.
Maybe. I mean, I like yours, but Sarah pointed it out. The ones that you wear are those stupid circle ones, not like stunner shades. You know what I
No,
mean?
they're not aviators. No,
Yeah.
I so funny. We did the spear crawl for the day before St. Patrick's
right,
Day.
which is smart.
I showed up and like I'm wearing a hat and I'm wearing my glasses. I just freshly shaved, so I have a mustache. And I was like, I get there and I'm kind of looking at myself and I'm like, dude, I look like a cop. I look like an undercover cop.
I look like a narc.
I was like, dude, I'm a narc. I look like such a narc right now.
Everyone's all like uneasy around you. So, okay, not to put them on blast, but we're going to get to our nerd news, but I got to talk about this. So, you know how it's like illegal to sell flavored vape juice?
Yeah.
Like it's illegal. You can't do it right now, right? Well, if you know some people, you may be able to be like, hey, what's in the back? Kind of a
Right.
deal. Like if you're homies with them and stuff.
Sure.
So this one guy, and again, It could be anywhere in Central Valley, so I'm not going to put him on blast.
We just know a guy who might know 3 guys.
So I was like, hey, like, what do you got in the back? He's like, I'm not a cop. Like, I'm not a cop.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't been casing this place to like get you comfortable with me to like get the juice.
You kind of see, the problem with us is we kind of have cop faces.
We do.
We kind of got cop faces.
We kind of got that cop face.
We kind of got that cop face.
But you know what? I did make my own juice. Like, I got a kit.
You made cigarette juice.
I made cigarette juice, dude. And you know what?
Cigarette juice. That's you now. You're that guy.
I am that guy. So anyways, with all that being said, let's get to our nerd news. And we got a big review of Severance.
Yeah. Season 2 finale hit last Thursday at around 9.
And there's going to be major spoilers.
So just, and don't worry, we'll set a timer and we'll let you know when it's happening. So Orc, more work for you. You know, and put glitter on it.
And you need to stop giving Orc so much work. Where's the green screen? I thought you were going to green screen it up.
No, so what we're planning on doing to test out the green screen is we might be doing little like minute shorts, minute reviews, minute things. So like Severance review, right? For example, minute review behind the green screen. That way it's very easy for Orc if he needs to cut it down, chop it up. It's very short.
Okay.
And then we can just test kind of like the parameters of the green screen.
Right.
Like my first one, I think I'm going to do the Day the Earth Blew Up review.
Okay.
Because more people need to see this movie. More people need to support this movie and support Ketchup Entertainment. But we'll get to that in a second. First, I want to start with Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah. So
Shadows.
If you're a fan of Assassin's Creed, which I was a huge fan of Assassin's Creed growing up.
I only played up until about the first 3 games. And then I just couldn't follow them anymore. But the first 2 were peak video games. 3 was even good.
The first
weird,
one
but good.
Was such a unique
loved it.
Take.
Loved
it. Had a cool sci-fi story, and I really liked the Abstergo shit.
And like, there was nothing better than like when you got really good at the game and you stopped using the sword or the dagger, and it was just the hidden blades.
Yeah, just go around and start fucking yerking people. So like, I really, really loved Assassin's Creed, especially when I the second one. All of them, right, has a soft space in my heart because when I met Sarah, she like literally just sat there quilting when I played through these games, and I was like, I'm gonna marry this woman because she was just dealing with it.
This is how I know, and even like
it was all trap,
and even like Black Flag. Was a great. I mean, the last great pirate game.
Yes. But I'm not like huge.
You're not a pirate guy.
I'm not a pirate guy.
You're not a pirate guy.
And I was like, oh, this is kind of fucking really what the formula of Assassin's Creed. But there's one thing fans have been absolutely clamoring for, and that is a feudal Japan Assassin's Creed. You got to look at Assassin's Creed and think, you know what? This is a fucking Tenchu game. Like this is Tenchu.
Yeah.
You know, like what the fuck? Like why are we not doing a ninja game?
It's so obvious.
It's so obvious. And it's literally been.
Maybe it was too obvious.
Maybe. It's literally been like 15 or 16 years we've been begging for this game.
Yeah.
So finally, they do it. And of course, now that we're on the fucking internet, no one can just try to like things at all, ever.
No.
It turns into controversy and blah, 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 because all these grifter dick faces want to rile you up and bullshit.
So for those of you that haven't been following, Assassin's Creed Shadow follows 2 separate characters. You can play as 2 different styles of character. One is the character Yusuke, who was a black slave that got brought... Yasuke, apologies. They got brought over to feudal Japan as a slave. He then trained under a samurai, like...
He was conscripted to, I don't think it's Nobunaga, but he was, I don't know all the details, so don't at me on this.
Clearly, I got his name wrong.
He was brought over by, I think the Portuguese brought him over.
Shogun.
He was conscripted. Now there's 2 different versions. A lot of people say he was like a legit samurai.
Right.
The other people say he was like a retainer. Like he was
like he was a
shit.
Yeah, like he was a pupil or a retainer for a samurai.
Both doesn't matter because he was an actual character or he was an actual person. And if you played the Assassin's Creed games, Assassin's Creed has always been historical fiction.
Right.
It's not real.
Second game, Leonardo da Vinci helps you fly and break into like a church
Right.
with a flying device.
Fucking what's Machiavelli or Machiavellian or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like all the major players in Italy are like all of your homies. So like, dude, it is fucking historical fiction.
Right.
But because it's a black dude, oh my God, the internet lost their fucking bullshit, dude.
Right.
And it's
then,
can you shut the fuck up, dude?
And then
like,
the other character is a Japanese woman who plays more of a ninja style, whereas Yasuke plays more of a samurai bash and break style. So I do like the idea of having two different styles of play. And a lot of people agree because Assassin's Creed Shadow has officially hit over 2 million players. So giving Ubisoft what feels like the first win in over a decade.
a long time, yeah.
Because they have had not only the worst PR team in existence, but also just the worst everything.
Well, here's the other thing about the female assassin, because I saw people bitching about that because it's the normal grifter bullshit that you see on Twitter all the time.
Sure.
What's all the masculinity? A woman couldn't be. So here's a historical fact for you, for all those fucking mouth breathing neckbeards that don't understand history at all. A ton of ninja, if you're going to say ninja as the assassins, were actually women. You know why? Because they blended in better. Geishas, gardeners, like they weren't in all black dress jumping from trees.
A lot of ninjas were farm folk.
Yeah, they would pretend to be like gardeners. So when the shogunate or whoever their target was walked by, they would just walk away because they blended in better.
Exactly.
But it's a woman. It's like, can we just try to enjoy shit? So I am going to play this game when I get time. I've been super busy, like super busy.
Same, fam.
Dude. So welcome to my life. But like, I feel like, and we'll talk about this in further detail later on in the next episode of the Do Over podcast, or the last one. You can go check it out.
Yeah.
But like, dude, we need to start calling out these fucking grifters, dude. It is like, I'm so sick and tired of like the rage bait whiny bullshit. Like I think everyone is. Like most normal people are.
Most normal people, and I mean,
kids fall for it.
Well,
like
and I mean,
12-year-old kids.
Well, and I mean,
fall
like
for it.
most people are over it. I mean, just look at the numbers: 2 million players playing this game. It's a hit. It's a success, whether you like it or not. This is a win for Ubisoft. This is a win for video games. So
I will say the one criticism I will get is that I wish that instead of splitting the gameplay style, because Yasuke plays kind of like a batch 'em up. It's not like Assassin's Creed-esque.
no,
I wish they went all in on a single assassin, but at least they're trying. Like everyone wants people to try stuff until they try it and then they bitch about it. So
Well,
like let them try things.
Well,
you
and
know?
I also think this would be a good way for people who are new to Assassin's Creed. Maybe you aren't used to the stealth kind of aspect of a game, so maybe you need that first try of bash, break through barriers, beat them up kind of style, and then you can work your way into the assassin style of gameplay.
So let's talk this real quick. Dexter Resurrection, which is a new Dexter series.
Okay.
So they've been really trying to fuck with the formula of Dexter to make it a hit again. So did you ever watch Dexter?
Never my cup of tea.
Okay. You should go back and watch it because it is an excellent show, but it did kind of like lose its steam couple years before the end of it. But Dexter was such a good show for its time when it came out. It started really that weekly mystery kind of,
Yeah,
how do I put it? That weekly kind of,
it was a weekly watch.
it was, how do I put this? It was like appointment watching. Like you always had to be like, people would have watch parties for Dexter and shit because it was such a good show. So even though it kind of like puttered out, they really, spoilers for an old show, they didn't kill him at the end, right? Like they didn't kill Dexter at the end, which was kind of like a cop out, like they wanted to like hedge their bets, right? So again, this is going to be spoiler talk, so spoiler. They brought back Dexter 10 years later for a 1-season run. And at the end of it, he supposedly got shot and killed. However,
you just can't kill this guy.
You can't kill him apparently
Dexter
because
doesn't die.
He, Michael C. Hall is coming back for Dexter Resurrection. And there is going to be like flashbacks to some of the big killers
Mhm.
that he interacted with, like some of his biggest villains from back in the
Dexter
day.
redemption arc.
Well, you know,
Did I just figure out Dexter?
I don't know, man,
in the
like-
span of a minute.
I always thought that it would be so cool because the whole thing about Dexter, and they really leaned into this in the books, because I love Dexter so much. I read a bunch of the books too.
Okay.
What they're based on it. But the books go way further into how much of a sociopath he is.
Right.
Like, he does not have human connections like you and I, right?
Right.
He's just a sociopath.
He doesn't have empathy.
He was fucked up when he was a kid. He can't help it. But in the show, if through like learning how to be a human being, he sacrificed himself for someone else, making it go full circle to protect his family,
Right.
would have been a very fitting end.
That's a good end.
That's a good end, because he finally became
Human.
something. Yeah.
But Drew, here's the thing. We don't care about him being human when we can bring him back 4 more times.
For more money.
He can be like Jesus and resurrect. Dexter Resurrection.
Andor season 2 trailer dropped. It looks so good.
It looks great.
It looks so
great.
good.
Let's see. Something that doesn't look great. Live action Snow White. Snow White and the 7 people that aren't dwarves. So
Yeah.
don't quit asking about it. Opening weekend, $43 million. The budget was around $250 million. Some are saying it is the worst performance of Gal Gadot's career. Now, there is some good news, although the lead actress, Rachel Zegler, did have some controversy before the movie. Apparently, she is fantastic in it, so I'll give her credit with that. Here's what I'm going to say, because I'm not going to see this movie. This movie wasn't made for me.
Yeah, no,
all right?
it's not for you.
If you are going to take your family to a family-friendly and fun movie experience, help a company and help a movie that was doomed to fail, and that is Looney Tunes: The Day the Earth Blew Up.
You really are standing on this game.
I'm going to stand on this movie because it was set up by Warner Brothers to fail. They wanted this movie to fail.
I don't think they want it to fail.
They switched.
I don't think they have the resources to really market it.
So they didn't put any money in marketing because nobody knew about this movie.
Yeah, I didn't
exactly.
know about it.
The people that did know about it, they moved the date the movie was supposed to be released. So people that even knew about the movie had the wrong date for it. This movie had a $15 million budget. It might be one of the most beautiful animated movies you watch in 2025.
It looks nice,
and
yeah.
it's the last hand-drawn animated movie 2D that you'll probably see on the big screen. Go support it. It's a little under $10 million made right now. So this is all just
only 10.
Only 10.
Yeah,
And
I'll take the kids.
And I mean, with a budget of 15 million, if we can get it to 15 million, it's technically a success. And this sets up an opportunity for Ketchup Entertainment, the people that made this movie, to then buy out Wiley versus Acme
to get it
greenlit finally, to actually be brought into theaters.
Let's talk about that, because there has been some leaked footage of not only Batgirl, but leaked footage of the Acme movie.
Wiley?
Yeah. So apparently there's a grassroots thing and I don't think any of these leaks happen on accident. I think these are intentional.
Absolutely.
To try to like capitalize and get the word of mouth going. It's a strategy.
Just get buzz going on it. Yeah.
Just get buzz going on it. So that may be in the future, but I want to circle back to Snow White real quick. Many of the properties that Disney has been putting out are, I'm not going to say doomed before they start, because Disney prints money, right?
Yeah. And I mean, say what you will about Mufasa, it made like $700 million.
Yeah.
So even though it had a bad opening couple of weeks, it still made its money back and then some.
My question is, do you think moving forward, because a lot of their things that they've put out struggle before they're even out because of things that either the director or the actors and the actresses say on social media or interviews before it even comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So then the buzz around the property is negative instead of positive, right? Do you think they're going to have very, very, very strict social media guidelines for these people moving forward? I mean, I feel like they should, to protect their brand.
I would put people in I would make them sign whatever the Marvel stars have to sign. Don't talk about it. Can't talk about it. Can't spoil the movie.
But it's not...
It's not Marvel.
Hold on. It's not a matter of talking about it that's the problem. It's the matter of they go on tirades and ideological blitz.
Yeah.
But and whether you agree with it or not is not my point. Is that when you do that, you're alienating a certain point of the audience. And then when people are arguing about it, just the overall press on the project is negative. It's just negative.
I agree.
That is an unavoidable fact.
I agree to a point, but I also feel like a lot of people that are seeing these movies, it's probably a lot of parents with a lot of kids taking their kids to see a movie that they want. Oh, look, Snow White, or oh, look, Bambi, or
Right, yeah.
So they probably aren't on social media as much, so they probably don't see the headlines of these people at all, if any.
I mean, that is something to consider.
So I don't think they'll probably have much,
right?
And then also Disney's in this point where they're very pro, like, speak up, Queen, speak your truths.
Yeah, but it will
bite them in the butt. Sure.
No. I'm saying if it affects their overall bottom line, which it clearly has, like, this is what I'm talking about. It's not that this is a one-off, is that it has clearly affected several properties from either the director talking some shit or one of the stars talking some shit. And like, look, again, let me stress this. It doesn't matter if you agree with what they say or not. It's just when that happens and it starts a fire on social media, people supporting, people against, just the overall sentiment is one of negative consequences.
Sure.
So it's fucking their money now. That's what I'm saying.
I get that, but I also think at the end of the day, you need a better product because you can look at the reviews.
For sure.
The Little Mermaid, I think that one was probably unfairly,
I heard it was good.
I heard it was fine, right? This movie I hear is terrible.
Yeah.
This movie I hear is not only terrible, but Gal Gadot is unwatchable.
Yeah.
And so
the strange thing about it is that it depends on who you ask, because if you look at like the critical reviews of Snow White, it's pretty split down the middle. It's pretty 50-50.
Right now it's at like a 47% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you just got to make a better product. And a lot of these live action films just aren't good product.
Let's talk about good products, huh?
We can talk
Let's talk about Apple TV Plus. Okay.
We can do that.
Apple TV Plus, since its, inception, has surprised me with the quality of programming that they bring.
Fantastic quality.
You had, early standout hits like Morning Show.
Yep.
You had
There's
Ted Lasso.
Ted Lasso. Monarch.
Yeah. Monarch was actually received pretty well.
Yeah. And then new stars like Silo and, of course, the biggest gem, Severance.
See, Severance and Dark Matter. Royce is a huge fan of Dark Matter, right?
Dark Matter.
See,
Loves Dark Matter.
Loves Dark Matter. So their programming is more on the level of an HBO than, say, like a Netflix.
I haven't watched Silo yet, but I think if I get another hit, which I think I will if I start Silo,
right.
It's going to be hard to say they aren't the best streaming platform in the game. Yeah.
It's one of the best things, and it's wrapped into several different like products that they use. How do you get Apple TV Plus? Sometimes if you buy a phone, they just give you a subscription, but some, wrapped into family plans and shit
you
like
get
this.
Apple Music, you can get a plan for it. There's a whole setup.
Here's the deal. The production of what they're putting out loses them $1 billion a year.
Right. So
billion.
Yeah. So before this year, their budget for Apple TV was $5 billion. Now they've tried cutting budgets around that while still not hurting product. So they got down to $4.5 billion. And though they might be losing $1 billion, losing $1 billion for having some of the best television you can watch.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair, and $1 billion is a ton of money. Apple's worth more money than God. So I think you can stomach losing $1 billion for having literally the best programming on streaming platforms.
So here's the deal. Okay. So Apple TV Plus is bundled underneath the services banner. Okay. So music, fitness, all of like the Apple bullshit, the news, all that stuff. Okay. So even though that Apple TV Plus loses $1 billion in the first quarter of fiscal year 2025, Apple Services division generated $26.3 billion in revenue. Now, let me go back a second. First quarter. Okay.
Meaning that's
So-
what, January to March?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even though
That's not bad.
no, not at all. So even though it is losing him $1 billion, if you look at the overall product, and I hear that on average, it's about 40 to 44 billion in profit. So the whole thing, like even if they generate revenue, remember there's costs associated and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
But the revenue that's actually generated is in the tens and tens of billions of dollars of profit.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, they're losing $1 billion here, but the word of mouth on a lot of their products is worth its weight in gold, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and now I'm in the Apple ecosystem, but I couldn't do a lot of stuff without it. Like the storage options, the music, the TV, like everything. You know what I mean?
It's so nice. It's so convenient. And I have as somebody who's working 3 jobs and still struggling to survive at times, I need things worth their value. Apple is worth its value. The music,
Yeah.
the news you can get,
Yeah.
the fitness stuff you can get, and on top of
it's
that,
convenient.
and on top of all of that, it has some of the best television I've watched in the last 2-3 years. It's hard to say it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I can understand you having Netflix and be like, there's a lot of stuff, but it's 90% garbage. It might not be worth it for you anymore. Or Amazon, where it's like, yeah, I watch Invincible and I think it's great, or I watch The Boys and it has its really great moments, but those are the only 2 things I watch.
Right.
Now I hear Reacher's awesome, and I did watch the first part of season 1. It's sick,
Yeah.
but I haven't caught up on it. So I mean, I could see you being like, Amazon, maybe it's just not for me either. But I mean, Apple is worth it all.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think that the value that you get out of that payment, even especially just with the cloud storage, is absolutely
super
worth
nice.
it.
Yeah.
So let's end on this. Big spoilers. Big old spoiler.
Hang on, before
Okay,
2
go
little
ahead.
quick things.
Yeah.
Speaking of Invincible season 4 going to be dropping 2026. So Amazon is like, hey, we know the show's awesome. We're going to make it annual, which is great, until you find out there's this rumor going on that only 10 animators are working on an episode.
That's insanity.
You're giving Ring of Power $300 million. You can't give 50 extra mil to Invincible, the #1 rated show on Amazon Prime.
Just
It's the #1 show on Prime.
flesh it out, dude.
It's literally Invincible, Reacher, The Boys.
Right.
Those are your money makers. Put all your money into those. All right. And you're going to be fine.
Yeah, I don't understand why.
And then-
if that's true, that's insanity.
Yeah, again, rumors. I've heard rumors, but also really, really quickly, a sequel that didn't need to be a sequel because Pixar seems to only be doing sequels right now, which drives me crazy. Coco 2 in development. 2029 is what they're saying is going to be the scheduled release year. Coco is a perfect one-off.
I know, dude.
Every Pixar movie,
And that movie fucks you up if you watch Coco.
tried the first one few times watching it,
Yeah.
Coco, Pixar, other than the Toy Stories, which should have ended at 3, are the perfect one-off stories. Now, you could say The Incredibles, sure, a trilogy would be fine, especially if you age them up now.
Yeah.
But Pixar makes perfect one-off movies. Ratatouille, WALL-E, A Bug's Life, Coco. You don't need a sequel.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't need a sequel, but you're going to get a sequel because it was so damn good. Even Moana didn't need a sequel.
Yeah,
and
it was fine.
I would argue having the sequel of Moana ruins a little bit of the first Moana.
I like the sequel to Moana. I like it. I think it's good. I don't think it's great, but I don't think it's bad.
Frozen
either.
and Frozen 2. Frozen was the biggest movie Disney had ever seen at one point. Frozen 2. Do people talk about Frozen 2? I don't hear about Frozen 2. My point exactly. My point exactly.
Yeah.
All right, but let's get into the biggest star.
Hold on, before we get started.
Okay.
If we have a small thing, I got a small thing.
You got a small
I got a small thing.
You're talking small things here.
I got small things.
It's now brought to you by Small Things.
So, okay. Monster Hunter Wilds. There is a title update that just came out.
Ooh.
Brought some new, harder monsters to the table. But also, Elliott, the Gathering Hub, which it looks like is a big deal for Monster Hunter people. So if you know what that means, You're welcome.
When you throw hub around, you get a lot of people's ears perked up.
What hub? Okay. Let's get into it. Big spoiler.
Big spoiler.
Big spoiler.
Giant letters.
Giant
And,
spoiler.
like,
Let's keep it on air. He's gonna hate us for.
Nah, he'll be fine. He's a good sport.
All right. So,
Spoiler.
what did you think about the
Finale. Conflicted.
Why?
So, and I think my problem is I'm overthinking it.
What do you mean?
So again, big spoilers here. Severance season 2 finale. Every Cold Harbor, it happens. You know, it's beautifully shot. Mr. Milchick's actor might be my favorite actor on the show.
He's really good.
He is incredible, and I hope he gets more roles and leading roles after the show.
Yeah,
because he's fantastic. I don't see how the innies get brought back in the future.
I have a theory.
Maybe because
hold on, before we get to theory time, just tell me what you thought first, because I got theory time.
Okay. I thought Dylan had the best arc of the season.
Okay.
I thought Irving's story was sad and beautiful, and I think he comes back for season 3.
Yeah.
I just don't see a way you can bring back these characters for everything they've done on that severed floor.
I got a theory.
Because I'm gonna go into it again. Big spoilers here.
Right.
Mark kills a guy.
Yeah, but he didn't intentionally kill someone.
No, it doesn't matter though. He killed a guy.
He killed him.
He killed a guy.
Yeah.
Helly is setting up an insurrection on the severed floor. Dylan has said, bleep you, Mr. Milchick, 587 times in the last month. And all the trouble they've caused with like assault now on Mr. Milchick.
Right.
You cannot bring these people back to a company. And so I just see, and like, it was sad but beautiful in a sense that everything happened with Gemma.
Yeah.
It broke my heart to see the decisions that were made at the end. I don't want to go too into spoilers, but I just don't see how if you're Lumen, those 3 people are a lost cause. Like, bring in 3, try Cold Harbor again with 3 other people, okay? Because those are bad eggs. You can't bring Mark S back. You can't, Helly, she's either a revolutionary or she's an Egan. You know, you can't, you just got to call a spade a spade.
Wait.
Helena, just stay Helena.
Stop.
And Dylan, I love you, Dylan. There's nothing you could do wrong. You're the GOAT.
Hold on. Chill out. Okay. I was telling you and Royce what I feel about the finale. Okay. And let me clarify. What they did right was answer questions, but not everything.
Yes, I agree.
Keeps you involved in the mystery.
I agree. And I was sitting at and then there was parts I cried. I was sitting at the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was a bad finale, and I think it was still the best season of television I've watched in the last year and a half. And that's with Shogun, that's with Fallout, that's with a lot of good shows out. But it just left me more conflicted than like happy. Which I guess that's the point too, in a sense. Like, that finale wasn't meant for you to be happy about.
Okay.
It's meant for you to be conflicted.
Let me retort. Okay.
Please.
Let's go over the big reveals of the season, which a lot of them came in the second half. Okay. So Cobell is the originator of the severance chip.
Yes.
It's her intellectual property that was kind of overtaken by Kier.
Right.
And Lumen in general. I shouldn't say Kier.
It was Lumen, yeah.
Okay.
Or the Egans, I guess you could say.
The Egans, Lumen.
Yeah.
Okay. The conversation that Mark's Indy and Audi had with each other, I thought was brilliant.
Fantastic.
Brilliantly shot. And
fantastic.
The big question now is, you have created individuals within your own body. So what's brilliant about Severance is that it is a commentary on corporate culture, but as well as identity within that corporate culture.
Or within thyself.
And it's very on the nose, but also it's just done so beautifully. But the thing is in the very final episode where the uprising starts, he goes and finds Gemma, gets Gemma out.
God, I cried when they saw each other again.
Yeah. He gets Gemma out, and they're figuring out that maybe, just maybe, love is superseding the severed chip.
Yeah.
That one emotion cannot be severed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because she trusted him, whatever.
She trusted him through everything.
So we find out that the files that Mark's been working on is basically breaking down the psyche into tempers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is what the Cold Harbor, that's the final file. They were probably going to kill Gemma at the end.
Right, because they found a blank slate of a human now.
Right. Well, it's about severing uncomfortable, painful things from the single person. And do you remember any of that, right?
They had the perfect cap, I guess.
So he gets her out. And at the very end, he's like, he can't do it. He can't leave Helly, even though he got her out. Well, because he would have died. Mark's innie would have been ceasing to exist if he walked out that door. And he loves Helly. Wait, theory time. The way that they exist after this is Jane Egan comes up to Helly, the innie, and says, basically, I see Kira in you where it's left my daughter.
Right.
Okay. I theorize that he's going to want to keep Helly R in the severed state permanently in order to succeed him.
Got it.
Okay. And because of that, she'll have power in that scenario to protect them. That there's something about going against authority that is respected by the Egans in general, right?
Let me ask you, do you think Helena and Helly are pregnant?
Yes, I think that is clearly being set up.
I think that's happening too. So my thing is, so here's what I think is going to happen with season 3. I think Gemma's going to get out and she's going to reconnect with Devin, Mark's sister. And she's going to be like, Mark got me out and then he abandoned me. And she's going to be like, well, no, he got severed like how you were severed. And so that'll be like I think Devin and Gemma, their season is going to be getting Mark out of being severed. I am interested to see what the fallout is though, right? Because Gemma, here's the other thing. She still has to escape Lumen.
Well, no. That walkway. See, here's the other thing. Cause you think about like all this shit's going on. You're like, why is there no security here? Right. That would be very kind of telling of someone that has a superiority complex, like a God complex, that they don't need a lot of security because they run everything. Right.
I just mean like,
I don't need a lot. Right.
Well, no, I just mean like when you get to the main lobby, there is that security check.
There's no, that walkway takes him out.
Oh,
that walkway is a straight shot up.
Oh, so I thought it was you had to check in first because in the first season he had to check in with the first security guard and then check in.
No, remember in the first season when she kept on walking out and they're like, we have this walkway to help our new inductees kind of, that walkway goes straight up to the grounds.
Oh.
So if Gemma gets out, right?
Which she will.
She will.
She will.
I think it will be interesting because we don't know how she got there. Like, she got in a car accident, but we don't know like if that was staged, if she willingly went. There could be something in the fine print on a contract that she signed stating they were going to do all this. And she can't, there's no repercussions for Lumen because she signed off on it. We don't know how she got there.
If I had to guess, this is just a guess, Lumen probably keeps their eye out on people that either go through traumatic injuries or like almost near-death experiences, and probably offers them their medical insurance, their medical bills, and says, if you let us do this experiment, if you let us house you for a certain amount of time, we'll cover all these bills and recuperate you.
Here's where I think that does not take place because the obvious, there's not a single wasted shot in Severance.
No.
Everything is telling a very specific story for a very specific reason. They were emphasizing her trying to get pregnant. And the theory is that if you look at the blood drive that they were doing, it was Lumen. If you look at the fertility clinic that she was at, it was Lumen.
Right.
That they're theorizing that they were purposely having her miscarry in order to manipulate her.
That's brutal.
Okay. And that they would come in and be like, hey, we can actually, there's a new procedure that can help you get pregnant. It has like a 90% success rate, but you got to come here. And she specifically signs up for it. Right. So That we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. But
and that's the exciting thing about Severance. That's like that's the best part.
But I do respect that they did answer some questions while still keeping me insatiated, Elliott, with what's going to happen afterwards.
And again, I think I have a too realistic thought process with it.
Mhm.
And this show is so realistic, but unrealistic, because if you had 3 employees in particular starting riots, fighting your superiors and killing a guy, you'd probably be like, yeah, we got to let these guys go.
But you know what? It's in their interest to hide all of that. It's in their interest to hide all of it.
And that's what they did episode 2 or episode 1 of season 2.
Right.
Is that they said, oh, you guys started this great revolution and nothing happened. And it was only like a day after.
So I'm interested to see where they take it in the next. Here's my final question on the Severance, and then we'll move on to sports. My final question for you is there more than a 3rd season? Or do you think third season's it?
I'm hoping that there's no more than 4 seasons.
Yep.
I'm really appreciative going through some of these old great television shows like Sopranos, Breaking Bad, even Better Call Saul.
5 is a sweet spot. 5 seasons is a sweet spot.
Anything more than 5 typically, I think, leads to disaster.
Yeah.
And like, this is from a guy whose favorite show is Californication, and it had 7 seasons, and it could have ended at 1.
Right.
Should have ended at 6.
Yeah.
It went 7 when it didn't need to. And like Scrubs too. Scrubs had the same problem. It had 1 season too many. 4 sounds right for Severance.
Yeah.
Because of the 4 tempers, right? You could end it at 4, and that would make sense to me. 3 even would probably work. Anything more than 4, though, I think we would be just beating a dead horse.
Right.
And even with Ted Lasso, I know they're bringing it back. I know it probably makes sense, and I'm sure it'll be great. Doesn't need a 4th season. It was perfect at 3.
So here's to say that Severance is excellent viewing. If you have not watched it,
it's the best television show
on.
I'm gonna say I won't even be afraid to say it's gonna be the best show of the year. Not even close. And I think The Last of Us season 2 is going to be great.
Which is coming up in a few weeks. We got Last of Us season 2, and Last of Us is going to be very interesting to see for the people that don't know that story, but that is something that we can speculate on next week. Stay here. We'll be right back. We're going to talk sports next. Big shout out to Grog's Traditional Irish Pub at the northeast corner of Willow and Nees. Not only do they house the Do Over podcast for taps and takes, but they invited us to go blow it up on St. Patrick's Day live on scene. Now that that's done, it's easing us into summer and it gets hella hot here in the Central Valley. Grog's prides themselves on being the coldest drinking establishment in the Central Valley. Literally go down there, get a nice cold pickleback, get a nice cold Guinness, throw it back and leech off that free AC, son. Support Grog's because they support the Do Over podcast. Oh, big shout out to Grog's Traditional Irish Pub.
That's right.
I want to point something out, Elliott.
Point it out.
Royce here, who we love.
We love Royce.
He just lived through the craziest time of the year for him, which is St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
We literally,
it was
in
so
this
crazy,
corner,
he broke the clock over there. Nothing broke it as hell.
So in the corner, okay, we were set up. Orc brought a computer. We had a whole live stream set up, which you can go on our Twitch and check out. And also remember, every single Friday when we record the proper episode of the Do Over podcast, we will be going live on Twitch.
That's right.
Moving forward. However, it was so crazy with the weather. So many people were here.
He was straight out of Dublin.
He lives through it. And then he says, now I want everyone to know I have the coldest goddamn bar in all of Fresno.
Yeah.
This pub is the coldest pub.
The coldest.
That you will ever visit. So when you come here, when it's starting to get hot outside.
Because it's going to be in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, like 2 weeks. It's going to get fucked up.
Or today.
Royce prides himself on making it so cold in here, you will need a sweater. So just keep that in mind. You need to leech off the free AC and have some drinks at the same time. Maybe get some JMO in your system. Maybe a nice cold Guinness.
Absolutely.
You know where to go. Northeast corner of Willow and Nees. Come on out. Support Grog's because they support us. Now, Elliott.
Yes.
We straight up waxed poetic about the nerd stuff.
We did.
Let's get into
there was
sports.
A ton of stuff to get to. I don't even think we got to all of it, tell you the truth.
No, we didn't. There's like literally a ton of stuff in my notes that it was not there.
I mean, like Last of Us, we can wait till next week.
The Last of Us is going to be very interesting. when we start talking about
But it
that.
comes out on the 13th of April, so we'll give it another week before we really dive into it. But let's get into something that took over the sports world by storm this past weekend, because it does every time it goes on, and that is March Madness. The round of 64 and 32 were underway this weekend, and a lot of people were a little upset there weren't as many upsets as years past. It was
a little bit more predictable.
It was very favorite heavy, and that's because the favorites are just that good. But there were still some upsets. The 12 seed McNeese upset. You would think I would have this right off rip.
I think you have it in your notes.
Yeah, but the 12 seed actually made it McNeese with their hilarious aura farming manager who got his own little deal. They got the first round win, and then they lost in the round of 32. I got some notes here on some of the big things that happened. Maryland survived a thriller as they beat 12 seed Colorado State with a buzzer beater. That was this past weekend. Florida takes out two-time defending champs, UConn, in a thriller. That game was back and forth all the way through. UConn was winning a lot of that game until Florida clutched up at the end. 10 seed Arkansas might be the last.
Arkansas,
with head coach John Calipari, who is, if you don't know, he was the dominant Kentucky head coach for a long time. He leaves Kentucky, goes to Arkansas. They start 0-5 in the season, gets them a bid into the tournament, not only wins the first round, but then upsets St. John's Red Wave, Rick Pitino. So 59 total wins in tournament games. He's the most as head coaches go currently right now. He's one of the most dominant head coaches in tournament history, and he took those Razorbacks, baby. Those Razorbacks, that Arkansas Razorback with some big upsets, baby. Hog Nation.
Well, and that's what March Madness is all about. It's about the upsets, right?
Exactly.
Because everyone's bracket gets busted.
Exactly. Mine was broken the second game.
Right.
Second game.
Yeah.
That's right. McNeese beat Clemson. That just totally reminded me, because I remember. Ask me how I remember.
How do you remember?
There's a shot of the Clemson Tiger mascot just sitting there so depressed.
Like this?
Literally, no, sitting here just like this. Or cue some rain.
Yeah.
Just so deflated and defeated.
Makes it better.
Yeah, McNeese with the big upset over Clemson, the 5 seed Clemson, and then they lost, unfortunately, the second round. But Duke, who is the number 1 overall seed. There's a couple of 1 seeds, but they're the number 1 overall seed. They look to be the most dominant team in the tournament by a wide margin, as they have had no issues with their first 2 games.
Who won last year? It was
UConn.
Was it UConn?
UConn's won the last 2 years in a row.
Oh, really?
And Florida Florida took out the 2-time defending champs in UConn.
That's a big deal.
In a great game.
Yeah.
It literally was down to the wire. And for all those over bettors, a desperate 3 buzzer beater to get it within like 2 points, but it covered the over on the last play of the game. So
no way.
That's what dreams are made of.
That is what dreams are made of, dude.
Good.
For maybe someone I know that's looking for his payout, potentially.
Good teams win, great teams cover.
Yeah, Elliott may or may not have been complaining about whether or not his betting money is coming back to him. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Not that I did any of that, but I'm just saying.
We don't sports bet in the state of Cal. Are you crazy?
No, but like there's a buddy I know in Vegas, and his thoughts were a lot similar to mine, and he dominated the first round.
Yeah,
so
and was he like, where's my $80?
I mean, if he threw that kind of money around, yeah.
Probably not, though.
No, not at all. But it was a very good opening weekend for the book club. I'll say that. A couple of more things. BYU and the Mormons, the 6 seed upset Wisconsin. No win in this Wisconsin this season around. 7 SEC teams made it into the Sweet 16 with Ole Miss as the 7th team beating Iowa State. Another, I guess you could say, upset. And then here are the teams left. We have Duke, Arkansas, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Michigan, Michigan State, Alabama, BYU, Arizona, Auburn, Houston, Purdue, Texas Tech, Maryland, and Florida. A lot of good teams, a lot of teams that are high marked.
It runs through April, right? Like the first week?
Yeah, it runs through. So the next game, the Sweet 16 starts Thursday, and then the Elite 8 goes on, I think, this weekend. And the next weekend, it'll be the Final Four. And then I believe on the Monday will be the championship game.
Got it.
Now, a lot of people are conflicted with this year's tournament. One, because there hasn't necessarily been a lot of tournament moments. And by tournament moments, I mean like the big games that feel bigger than most, that have the huge upsets or that go back and forth. There were a few. UConn and Florida was one of them. I thought Arkansas and St. John's was. Now, a lot of people thought the officiating kind of ruined the game. I didn't feel that way. I thought the game was just gritty back and forth throughout the game. But what a lot of people have a problem with is that there weren't a lot of major upsets.
Right.
Arkansas is the 10 seed, and they're probably the last big underdog, you know, as they take on Texas Tech coming up Thursday. And,
Do you think someone may potentially be able to get a 100% bracket this year?
There are no perfect brackets left.
None.
Although, granted, a lot of them made it to like the last few games of the round of 32.
That's big.
So that is
that
pretty
never
good.
happens, dude.
No, and it never will. I don't think there will ever be a time.
I think there will be one mathematical fucking equation that just falls into someone's lap, dude, that they just happen to do it, you know?
I just don't. I mean, to guess that many games correct is nothing short of a miracle.
Oh, yeah. No, it's definitely luck and just luck.
It's
like
just
that's
luck.
what it is. Yeah.
But I actually kind of like Arkansas's chances. I know they're a 10 seed, but I think they have one of the best coaches left in the tournament. And the way they play basketball, yes, they can offensively go through some droughts, but they play bully ball. They just got some big hogs in the paint. Big hogs in the paint, and they've got just enough good guards that I think can really cause problems for Texas Tech. But what a lot of people have a problem with is that there aren't like the Cinderella stories, the 12 seeds that make it to the Sweet 16 or the 16 seeds that upset the ones that we've had kind of in years past, or the 15s or the 14 seeds that have made it deep runs, you know? Like Arkansas is a 10 seed and they're the lowest seed now, which I still is low.
Yeah.
But a lot of the other seeds are 1 through 4s and 5s.
It's wild to me that like all these teams, they kind of like, how do I put this? Like all these well-known big teams that have, you know, great recruitment because they're working with excellent programs. They seem to be all in like the Bible Belt in Florida. You know what I mean? Like they're all kind of, you know, and I wonder if it's just because there's like less to do out there. So they put a lot of money into like high school, college sports.
So typically the conference in college that does the best is usually the ACC because in years past,
for people that like don't know, like I know what that stands for, but like what does it stand for people that don't know, Elliott? Because I know. You got to let people know.
So so college sports are broken up into different segments in different parts of the country.
Yeah.
Used to be the Pac-12. That's going to be its own weird thing now.
Yeah.
The Big 12 is kind of like your Midwest. The SEC is typically your South, and the ACC is typically your like Northeast to North-South or like East Coast,
Mid-East Coast.
Mid-East Coast to like SEC's typically South
Carolinas.
to East Coast. Yeah. Like Ole Miss, Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas. I mean, a lot of those are your SEC teams, right? And ACC is kind of like your Dukes, your Virginias, your Carolinas, your Floridas to a degree. But the ACC, typically because they had North Carolina and Duke for a long time, those were your two high-profile college basketball like teams, you know. The ACC has always been kind of like the strong college basketball conference. Well, now it's looking like the SEC is because of how good Tennessee is. Ole Miss really playing well. Auburn, a fantastic 1 seed. So it's Florida. But Duke is still top dog this year, at least, until proven otherwise. But what a lot of people have problems with is NIL. Now, not necessarily that players are getting an opportunity to make money off their likeness and stuff like that, but because they can go through the transfer portal. So
what's
the transfer portal is for players that transfer to different schools. So let's say you have a star player on San Diego State, right?
Yeah.
San Diego State didn't have the best of years, but they've still got a good team, you know? Well, one player could be like, hey, man, sucks that we didn't make it, but hey, we'll be back next year. And the second the portal opens up, he can transfer to a better college. Because
on his own volition?
Because a better college can offer him more.
Right.
Can offer him more money, can offer him a better NIL deal, stuff like that. So he can just leave.
Right.
So what people are concerned about is that players are just going to go to these high programs that are always great, leaving less opportunity for those higher seeds to pull upsets.
Yes, but here's my counter to that.
Make a counter.
And yes, I agree. That's kind of, it can make like an uneven practice. It's just like any team where they just dump tons of money into
Absolutely.
them, like the Yankees and stuff. Like, I get it. However, first of all, that doesn't always work out. But second of all, for decades on decades, billion-dollar college sports franchises were built on the back of students risking their professional sports careers through injury and not able to legally benefit at all from that. And that being an option for them when taking the risk of getting injured and not having a professional sports career is absolutely warranted. Like, that is absolutely warranted to allow those kids, because they are kids.
They're kids.
To capitalize on their work, their likeness, the effort that they put into it, because a lot of those kids may not even make it past into professional sports.
99% of them don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially when it comes to college.
Fuck it.
Especially when it comes to college basketball. My only thing is it will just, as if these teams weren't already so much better, they're just going to get way more lopsided. And I also get the understanding from like a viewership standpoint, you want the best players in these games. So big teams like Duke are just going to get more numbers regardless. However, as like the sports, and this is where sports and business, kind of like when we have nerd culture and business meet, is sports are built off of Cinderella stories. They're built off of miracles, you know?
The Brock Purdy's.
The Brock Purdy's, the Miracle on Ice. This is what we watch sports for.
Yeah, those stories.
So when you have like a 16 seed pull the upset on a 1 seed, that stuff that's in the history books forever.
Yeah.
So when you have these lopsided teams now, because NIL is just going to keep recruiting and just going to find a way. Like Duke is never going to have a problem finding star players. Right?
Yeah.
Regardless.
I feel you. Yeah.
So when you have players that maybe go to Creighton, right? Good program, people know them. But if Creighton starts getting their players poached because these teams can afford them or just can keep throwing money at them, you're never going to get those Big East teams. You're never going to get those opportunities for lower seeds to really shine in the tournament. And that's kind of what March Madness, emphasis the madness, is all about.
Despite the issues that you may have, we may not see eye to eye at all, even though like we're the same height. So like we
kind of are the same
physically.
Yeah.
We physically see eye to eye. Okay. We may not agree on this because I feel like those kids should cash out as best as they can.
Make your money.
Their money.
As somebody who doesn't make money, make your money, honey.
Someone that works 14 jobs and is barely scraping
and makes
by.
a big old goose egg. Make your money,
If
King.
you saw the last 5 days of my life, you have a stroke, bro. But regardless, we're not going to stroke out here. You know why? Coldest bar in Fresno.
Well, no, they would probably get arrested.
Grog's Traditional Irish Pub. Come in here and cool off. Get yourself a beautiful Jameson with a pickleback. Get yourself an ice cold Guinness. Support the men and women of Grog's Traditional Irish Pub because they support the Do Over podcast.
Support local bars.
Yeah. After you watch this, go back, watch the rest of the last episode, the Drew List episode of the Do Over podcast.
You know what? Bring some headphones. Watch it in Grog's. Yeah. Feel like you were here.
And right now, as a matter of fact, after you watch this, if you were
at Royce just sitting there.
If you were minute 1, we're actually live on Twitch as we speak right now. So if you want to come check us out.
Crazy. Twitchception.
I know. We're all over the place, man. But, I love doing taps and takes. Thank you for joining me, Mr. Jams.
Thank you, Mr. Drew.
Eddie told me he is coming back next week. That's what.
I don't believe you.
And now I've heard this. I don't believe you.
I don't believe you.
He says he's coming back next week, so we'll have to wait and find out. But where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Elliott Cams. You can find me on Instagram at ElliottJams13. You can find us at the Do Over Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. And you can
Twitch.
find me on Twitch as well. You can find us on Twitch. And you can find me at literally everywhere across Fresno because I don't have a life anymore.
And that's okay, because
No.
now I want you to, we'll do that next time.
We'll break it next time.
Listen, I want you to do this for the next 5 to 10 years of your life and then give me a report on how you feel.
I just hope I get a raise.
Welcome to Adult Life. So until
I just
then,
need money.
until the next episode of the Do Over Podcast, every single Wednesday at 8 a.m., every single Friday at 8 a.m. for Taps and Takes. Subscribe. Go do all that stuff, shirts and all that. We got merch. So if you want to,
Whammy bar.
So if you want to get in on that, just message us. Okay. So until next week, gotta go. Love you. Bye.
Bye.